Today, I'd like to talk about how we can bring yoga into our daily working lives. Because for most of us, we spend the majority of our time each day at work. And it's a question that I get asked by a lot of people. I'm practicing yoga on the mat and, it's having a lot of great benefits for me. But actually, how do I bring yoga off the mat and bring those benefits into my work life? So I'd like to offer 3 suggestions for how we can bring a yogic approach or yogic techniques into our daily work lives. So the first thing that I'd like to mention is that all of us have some kind of journey, or most of us, I should say, have some kind of journey to work at some point. So the first thing that we can do is that rather than being on a train, being in a car, being on a bus, being in the tube, whatever it might be, and being on our phones and listening to music and listening to podcasts, we can actually decide to take maybe a couple of minutes, let's say, where we're not going to listen to anything, we're not going to read anything, we're not going to be on social media and so on and so forth. And what we're going to do is we're just going to close our eyes and we're just going to tune into the sensations in our body. So we're going to use the sensations as the object of our attention. And just for a few moments, we're going to allow all of the thoughts that are normally there about the day ahead, about what we've got to do, about people we're going to see, about meetings we might have, appointments we have to keep. We're going to let all of that fade away. And we're just going to listen in to the experience in our bodies in that particular moment. And by doing so, what we do is we allow ourselves to connect to our bodies. We allow ourselves to arrive in the present moment, and we allow the usual thought patterns and attachment to ideas and thought patterns to just fade into the background and take a moment to just ground into ourselves. And what you might find with practice is that the more you do this and the more you pay attention in a non-judgmental way to the sensations in the body, the more that becomes an experience that is quite releasing and letting go in its nature and is able to bring us into a more calm state. So that's the first thing. On the journey in, or even if you don't have a commute, before you start your day, just sit still, let go of everything else, close your eyes, bring your attention to the sensations in the body, let them be as they are, even enjoy feeling them, regardless of whether you would normally label them to be good or bad, and just take a few minutes there. So that's tip 1. Tip 2 is all about the breath. So you've had a meeting or you've had an interaction with someone or a phone call or an email's arrived that's kind of triggered you. You feel a bit flustered. You might feel a bit angry or frustrated. All of these things that so often happen in the work environment. What do? Well, tip number 2, and you can do this very discreetly, is either maybe to bring a hand onto your belly or even a hand onto your chest, or if you don't feel that's appropriate in that moment, that's fine. But just tune into your breath. Again, as we talked about in the mindfulness of sensations practice, just bring yourself mindfully into connection with the sensations and feeling of the breath in your body. Notice your breath. Tune out the distractions. Even if you're sitting there kind of gazing straight ahead, pretending to look normal, just focus on your breath. And if you can, just take a slower, longer breath in and a gentle pause, and then a slower, gentle, longer breath out with a pause. And just do that a few times. It might be 4 times, 5 times, 6 times if you have the moment or the time to do it, maybe 12 times perhaps. But just take a few slow breaths, tune into the flow, the rhythm of the breath, become present with the breath and see how that makes you feel. And the great thing is that you can do this at multiple points throughout the day. You can do it before conversations with colleagues or before meetings, or you can do it when you get back from your lunch, or you can, whatever it might be, these things can be parachuted in, dropped into various parts of the day when we notice that we're starting to get more stressed, when we notice perhaps that we're starting to get more frustrated, and we just tune back into the breath for a few moments, do some longer breaths. It doesn't have to be any particular technique or anything fancy at all, and see how that makes you feel. So that's tip number 2. Final tip, tip number 3, is to go for a mindful walk at some point during the day. That means that whatever's going on around you, maybe you just schedule a moment in time where you're going to say, right, I'm going to leave my desk, I'm going to leave my computer, I'm going to leave my phone, and you go for a walk without the phone. Yes, without the phone, for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, where the aim of the walk is not to look around and kind of pay attention to everything that's going on externally, but it's just to be in your body and just to notice the sound, for example, of your shoes meeting the ground, to notice the sensations of your feet meeting the ground, to notice the way that your arms maybe swing as you walk, maybe even noticing your breath, maybe noticing the way that the wind moves or flows your hair as you're walking along. All of these things enable us again to become present and to take our minds out of the usual patterns of fast-paced movement, fast-paced thoughts, very, very attached and over-identified with the things that are going on. And it just means we can take a mindful moment of peace in the middle of our day where we go for a walk without the distraction of the phone. And we see what that can do to relieve us of the tension, psychological tension, and of course, physiological tension that might have been building throughout the day. So number 3 is go for a walk. So you've got 3 tips there. The first one is before you even get to work, to do something mindful, bring attention to the sensations in the body. The second one is to use your breath whenever you need to throughout the day. Connect to your breath, notice it, extend the length of your inhales and exhales. Notice how that feels. And the third one is to take yourself out of the work environment for a moment. Go for a walk without the phone, to be mindful in your walk. Just pay attention to what's going on within you and see how these things, if they're done on a regular basis, can start to bring yoga off the mat and bring them mindfully into your day-to-day work life. So thanks for listening. I hope you found this video useful for you. And of course, as always, if you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and of course also comment below on any other topics that you'd like me to cover. Thanks for joining. Namaste.